pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, since this is our first meeting of the year, the first item on the agenda is to elect officers for this year. Open for nominations for chair.
I'd like to nominate Scott Kingrave.
I'll second that.
Okay, are there any other nominations for chair? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Congratulations, you're the chair. I'll do the vice chair also. Any nominations for vice chair?
Brian Ford.
I'll second it.
Any other nominations? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. No opposition. Brian's going to be the vice chair. So I guess we're not showing up. Do you want to change chairs? Are you okay staying there?
No, I'm fine here.
Okay. Good.
You ready? Yeah. What do I do?
Approval of the minutes.
Approval
Oh, okay.
minutes.
I'd like to get an approval for the minutes, please.
So moved. I guess I wasn't there, but
I'll second it. I wasn't there.
I'll make the approval of the minutes as submitted,
I'll
okay.
second.
since I was there.
That's better. Motion's been made and seconded for the minutes.
Okay, so the motion carries.
No, we have to say,
I'm sorry.
all those in favor say
Oh,
aye.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Now,
First case.
first case.
Alrighty, the first case is going to be 1-22-A. Its location is 5154 Romar Road. The applicant is Larry and Ann Reed. The applicant is requesting that the Union Township Board of Zoning Appeals grant variances and relief from provisions of Section 623 and 711.6 of the zoning resolution in order to allow an accessory structure at 20 feet by 20 feet or 400 square feet. The desired structure is to be a carport located in the front yard of the home in the R1 Single Family Residential District. Section 623 would give permission to construct the third accessory structure, and Section 711.6 would allow the structure to be located in the front yard. The subject property is located along the eastern side of Romar Road off of the Panhandle lot in the northwestern sector of Union Township. Some background information: the applicant states that his truck is too large to fit in the current garage attached to his home, and the carport will shelter the vehicle from the weather elements. The home sits roughly 1.24 acres off of a 200 plus or minus foot panhandle surrounded by heavy vegetation along all property lines. The applicant has an existing septic sewer located along the northern property line, prohibiting placement of the proposed structure. The applicant currently has two smaller accessory buildings located in the rear yard for storage. The proposed carport will be the only structure for designated car storage. After reviewing the proposed variance requested submitted by the applicant, the following observations can be made. The proposed structure will not impede light or air to the surrounding residential properties, nor will the structure adversely impact the adjoining properties. The proposed structure will be screened by a large row of evergreen trees located along the front property line. The applicant may have a documented hardship due to the existing septic system located on the northern side of the home. The granting of the requested variance would not result in the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted within the R1 district, and it appears that the variance request is a minimum amount required to achieve the applicant's stated goals and objective. The action required is to approve, modify, or deny the applicant's request for variance to Section 623 and 711.6 of the zoning resolution in order to allow for the construction of a 20 by 20 accessory carport in the designated front yard based on evidence, testimony, and finding of fact. That concludes.
Okay. Is there anyone in favor of the application? Please step forward, please. Raise your right hand. The testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
State your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Larry Reed, the applicant, 5154 Romar Road, Cincinnati.
Okay. What brings you here, sir?
I want to construct a carport in front of our house, 20 by
Okay.
20.
Okay, and you've also talked to your neighbors, I think, I talked to you about that.
Yes, I actually, on that page I give you, I went to every neighbor and asked them to, if it was okay with them to sign a statement that it was, and everyone that's touching me and even across the street both ways
Okay,
signed
Okay.
it.
good. Is there anybody here asked to
Any
speak?
questions?
Okay, is there any questions from the board?
No.
Not at this time.
Okay, is there anybody that would like to speak in opposition? Okay, so now,
Discussion of the board.
okay, discussion of the board?
I'll make a motion that we table this case until next month, giving the applicant the time to complete an application. The application that he submitted is not complete. I appreciate the staff speculating about the location of a septic system, but the applicant did not note that anywhere in his application. So for those reasons, I'm moving to table it for a month.
May I say something? When I went to get that application, I showed it to them and it said everything was filled out properly.
Well, it's my opinion that it's not.
I think it needs to be, I think it needs to be in the application,
Yeah,
personally.
there's nothing in the application that says anything about a septic system blocking it going anywhere. The section that calls for hardship is just said, see the next section, and, you know, that doesn't meet the requirements of the zoning resolution.
It needs to be documented on this plot plan. Preferably, I would second the motion to table it until next month, if you can resubmit an application.
Any further discussion?
I don't have any further discussion.
No.
Motion's been made and seconded to table it.
Okay, roll call?
Mr. Hanrahan,
Aye.
Mr. Walker,
Aye.
Mr. J,
Aye.
and Mr. Candro.
Aye.
Motion carried.
So is there somebody in your department will be able to show me how to fill it out properly this time? Because last time they did not.
You'll have to see the people in the zoning department to do that.
Yeah.
You just need to document the fact that there's a sewage problem and where the sewage problem's at.
And that's the reason.
That's the
for-
reason. There's no documentation from you of that there's a sewage problem.
Is there a place in there for that?
Yeah, under hardships.
Well, I didn't know it. If they'd have told me that, I'd put it in there. It's very simple. It's right beside the garage.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry that they didn't notify you about that. I notified them 2 weeks ago that I had concerns about it.
Nobody contacted me.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I am too. Good luck, people.
So do I ask for another case?
Next case.
Okay, next case?
Alrighty, our next case is going to be 2-22-A. The applicant is Sean and Tanya Fenn. They are located at 1174 Forest Run Drive. The applicant is requesting that the Union Township Board of Zoning Appeals grant variances in relief from the provisions of Section 711.2, 711.5, and 711.6 of the zoning resolution in order to increase the maximum accessory structure allowance from 750 to 2100 square feet at the height of 17 feet 9 inches in order to allow for the construction of a pole barn in the R2 district. Section 711.2 of the zoning resolution would give permission to increase the accessory building from 750 square feet to 2,100 on an R2 lot. Section 711.5 of the zoning resolution would give permission to increase the accessory height from 14 feet to 17 foot 9 inches in the residential zone. And section 711.6 of the zoning resolution would give permission to locate the accessory building within the front yard. The location is located off of Forest Run Drive on a panhandle lot with a common drive in the southeastern quadrant of Union Township. The applicant's property is zone R2 and totals 1.505 acres. The applicants also own the adjoining .85 acres located southwest of the property off of Shaler Road. The .85 acre parcel is currently vacant with Shaler Run running through the center of it, which is regularly prone to flooding. The applicants have two proposed options for the desired pole barn. Option 1 is closer to the residential uses along Forest Run Drive, as option 2 is closer to Shaler Run and potential flooding. The applicants wish to construct the pole barn in order to store an RV, recreational vehicles, mowers, etc., along with an additional indoor space for their children to practice sports in the winter. Surrounding properties in the area are residential with a high concentration of R2 single-family development. Elevations in the application have been proposed with the pole barn being constructed of metal material. After reviewing the proposed variance requested submitted by the applicant, the following observations can be made. Per section 434 of the zoning resolution, variances may be made to increase the maximum gross floor area, but generally not more than 25%. The current proposal is nearly 3 times larger than the allowance for an R2 residential lot. Although the lot is zoned R2 single family, the parcel is significantly larger than typical R2 lots, with the first lot with the home being 1.5 acres and then the second lot being the 0.85. The proposed variance does not appear to encourage or otherwise allow the establishment of uses not otherwise permitted within the district. There are 2 options proposed within this application. Option 2 would give the least disturbance for the adjacent neighbors located off of Forest Run Drive. Setbacks have not been presented within the application. Minimum setback requirements shall be met. If option 1 is chosen, a minimum setback of 10 feet shall be desired to be held from the property line to preserve vegetation to the adjoining neighbors, and any additional driveway surface needed for access to the proposed pole barn shall be paved with a hard surface. The action tonight is to approve, modify, or deny the applicant's request for variance in case number 2-22A, requesting relief to section 711.2, 711.5, and 711.6 of the zoning resolution as to allow for the construction of an accessory building that would increase the size from 750 square feet to 2,100 square feet and increase the height from 14 feet to 17.75 feet in the designated front yard based on evidence, testimony, and finding of facts. There are 2 recommended modifications should the board grant favorably on the consideration. 1, any additional driveway needed to the proposed pole barn shall be paved in a hard surface. And 2, minimum setback requirements shall be met at the time of permitting. If option 1 is chosen, a minimum of 10 feet shall be held from the property line to preserve vegetation to the adjoining neighbors. And that concludes the report.
Is there anybody in favor?
Yes,
Okay, raise your right hand. Is testimony you're about to give the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
yes.
Okay. State your name.
My name is Sean Fenn. I live at 1174A Forest Run Drive, Batavia, Ohio. I am an owner of the property. I do have some updated pictures from today that shows what the lot looks like from across the street and then what the other houses in the area look like from where my vantage point is, if you guys would like to see those.
You can bring them up if you want.
And then if there's any questions on any of those. This is starting at the neighbor's house and all the neighbors in the backyard. This side over here shows where it would be on this side of the lot. And then over here is the house directly next door to me that's at the bottom, then the neighbor's house up at the top. you know, we wouldn't be disturbing any of that other than probably some honeysuckle that just needs to be taken care of. This is a photograph of our front yard from Babson Park where their community pool is and their entrance. It's, you know, that's currently taken today. And then this is in my front yard, and our proposed site would be on this side or that side. With, you know, we would be removing some trees on our own lot there. And then that shows to the right-hand, or left-hand side of our property, where that is the first option. And then that shows our second option on the other side. I don't know if you guys want to hold on to those, or...
Yeah, you can leave them up there for a minute.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that's speaking in behalf?
I have some of my neighbors from the area, the two that directly are right on top of me.
Okay, do- Please state your name and address.
Timothy Nix, 1174B. I'm directly across in the private drive from
Okay,
Sean.
raise your right hand. Testimony you're about to give the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I would necessarily not have any problem that, really anything that Sean ever really does with his house or anything like that. Anything he does is always to perfection. That's what he does is builds things. You know, so most of the stuff that he does is more beneficial to him, never causes a service to really anybody that's in the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
Adam German, 1172 Forest Run.
Okay.
I live directly on top of the hill from Sean. So.
Okay, raise your right hand. Testimony you're about to give the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
I have no problem with it. Sean's a cool neighbor. I don't have any problems. I don't, so there's wood separate between our house and stuff. It don't bother me none.
Okay.
So let him do what he needs to do.
Okay, thank
Just
you.
gives me something else to play with.
Is there anyone who wants to speak in opposition to the application? Okay. Discussion of the board?
Too big.
I think it comes down to the same issue we've had in the past. Yeah.
This is a monster.
And unfortunately, we haven't had much clarification on it as far as direction,
Yeah.
other
Well-
than what's in, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's 3 times the size of what's allowable. That's significantly more than the 25% that the resolution.
well, to start, I'd like to ask, so is this truly in an R2 or is it an R1? Because his application was for an R1, what I don't believe it is. I believe you're in an R2 district. Is that correct?
It's R2.
And on the front page of our packet, that is a typo, correct, for the 3,000 square feet?
Yeah, it was. That is correct.
So at R2, it's 750 square feet. I mean, our typical allowance is 20% or 25%. That's gonna be 1,000 square feet.
Yeah, that wouldn't even be 1,000,
Right.
25%, so.
That'd be about 960, wouldn't it?
So 20%.
The other thing is, if you look at the application for 431.5D answer, there really isn't any hardship described there that isn't self-imposed.
Correct, it's standard.
What was that number?
In the application,
Yep.
431.5D at the top of the 3rd page, I think it is.
Yep. We bought the house and the pole was already there in the garage. And we're just out of room. I mean, we're almost to the agricultural of 5 acres. And like we said, we're completely surrounded. There's the room there, other than building onto the other lot that's included into our property. You know, I understand that it's huge, but we're working with my kid who's exceptional at pitching and looking for the indoor space so he can train year-round. And to put our, you know, we've had issues in the past with zoning coming down and inspecting the property, and we've got too many, the golf cart or the four-wheeler and the RV or the old travel trailer we've had to make secondary arrangements on that. And I mean, we are completely surrounded by woods. There's only elevated houses that can see it from the back at a very short time throughout the year.
I would say that the option one is not really an option because, you know, if there's any, well, the site plan that he gave us has no accuracy at all, just hand scribbled in.
The site plan was, the two spots where the pole barn would go were added, and those were taken from the auditor's website and used from there with the additional documents. That's an official document from years ago, and it has the survey with it as well. It's not a,
I'm talking about this diagram that you,
yeah, that's not a hand, I didn't
Hand-drawn
hand draw
in.
that.
it's. you
But
know,
it's also on another page as well, and that's hand-drawn where it was going to be at.
you know, it's not on any other page that I received.
Let me find that real fast.
You know, the zoning resolution says that there has to be some kind of a hardship to approve.
Well, 3 times would be allowable, and that's way too big.
Yeah,
As far
way
as
too
I'm
big.
concerned, it's way, way too big.
The plot plan's the 5th page in that has where it would be on the house with the pole barns, and it has it noted on one side. But don't forget, I have an additional lot that's with that. I mean, this just isn't this one lot. I mean, I'm completely surrounded by woods, and there are other commercial properties in this area. Agricultural, you know, there's big giant barns. There's a kid daycare just up at the corner of the street. Just down the road from there is phone, you know, utilities and all that. And I understand that that kind of gets an exemption, but there are other buildings that are big in this area. And mine's completely covered for, you know, other than 4 months out of the year.
Those buildings are in the R2.
Right, and the R2, that's 25%, it's not 37.
And we have the commercial apartment buildings that are at the corner. And a big giant high school that's basically in my backyard. But I granted they got a lot of property there as well.
It's different zoning.
I understand
that. You'd have to bring that up before the full zoning board.
That's not what, who would I go through that? I mean, that's, I was directed to come here for my
You
hearing.
come in here for a variance. We don't set whether it's an R1 or R2, that's done by the full zoning board.
It's the zoning commission.
Zoning commission.
And then the trustees have to, yeah, we have to go by the book that,
I'm confused on the zoning area for a full board. Can I get a clarification on that?
Yeah, you'd have to go to them to get a clarification.
We don't change that.
Zoning
Who's
commission.
them? I don't know who them is. The county or the township?
it's the township zoning commission.
Township.
And what is the, I understand what you're saying, but
What you would be asking them to do is change your zoning either from R.
did I
from-
make a
from
typo on
R2.
that, or I don't,
That's a separate application process. You would have to be changing your zoning from the R2 to possibly an R1, but more likely a PD. That's a planned development,
okay?
because then the trustees would ultimately decide whether, you know, whether it can be done or not. We don't have the authority to do that.
But I don't think, you're not asking for your
I'm not
zoning to be
asking for a
changed.
zoning change, I'm just asking to go above the limit. I mean, know,
Well,
I mean-
and what we're saying is,
We're bound by the book.
we're bound by the rules and regulations that are in the zoning resolution. We can allow up to 25% over 750 square feet.
Your application, you had stated it was in an R1, which is up to 1,000 square feet.
and that's from the direction of the lady that was at the front desk when I was getting all this paperwork.
That information is incorrect.
Well,
We're
that's-
actually in an R2, so an R2 is only 750 square feet.
Yeah,
which
I
makes it
mean,
even worse.
And unfortunately, she's
For us.
relatively new, so
that's not my fault.
not our fault either.
Correct? I don't,
I'm just, I got tons of room there, and I'm only an acre away from just getting an agricultural exemption from that. I don't see,
Well, you only get the agricultural exemption if you're in an agricultural zone.
there's plenty of agricultural around me. It's all around me. There's horses, goats, chickens. They're within, I can see them from my house.
so,
Well,
Well, I don't think what he's considering as option one is viable.
What was option one? I'm not familiar with what
that
I
was what you had.
this has.
You had two options.
Okay.
You had the options in there. You were
Well,
option
I'm
one.
just getting clarification on it, because I'm hearing R1, R2. I have wrong information apparently on my thing, so I'm just trying to get clarification on what I need to do. Because from what I was told from my zoning variance hearing from the lady at the front desk is completely different than what I'm getting right now. And I feel,
Well, I can't speak to that
I
at all.
can't speak to it either, but that,
You can see it on the county website.
Yeah. Well, the township website has the full zoning resolution, so.
Hey, option one is directly behind my house. is what
right,
you guys are
right. Option one is along the private drive.
yeah,
And my house is directly up at top of that. I don't have a problem with him putting it
Well, it's not whether,
It's
not
not
whether you have the
are
problem,
okay.
it's whether we're allowed to go any
Right.
larger than
there. Well, my
25%
house sits on
more.
top of the hill and he sits down below. So, the
Yeah.
zoning going over should be no problem. He should be able to build as tall as he needs to, even though he's down in the bottom, in the main road. The size is, that's really not a problem.
We
It's
have to
got
go
so
by
many
what's in,
acres.
we have to
Right.
go by what's
So it's
in
a
this book.
precedence.
And this book says you're allowed you may be allowed up to a 25% increase over the 750, which I figured would be about 937.
that doesn't even get my RV in there.
Right.
I bought a monster piece of property that's over 2 acres in this area, and I'm handcuffed because of a flood zone on the other side. And with the direction of the lady at the front, she said that this is something you guys could vote on.
We
mean, I
can
brought-
vote on it, but we can only go by what the book says. And the book says you can allow up to 25% over the 750.
that doesn't even get my RV in there, if even I go over 25%. I got kids that are very active we do everything. We travel all over the place. We got canoes, boats, kayaks.
Disagree
Well-
with that, but
Not that it's particularly relevant, but I have an RV also, and I have to store it at home because I can't put it on my property.
I've got it
so-
in a concrete spot in my yard already. I just want to get it under cover. And then I got boats and all that.
That is a monster building in that location, and I'll make a
an
motion
R2
to
for that
deny.
neighborhood.
Are you ready for a motion?
You made a motion to deny.
I gotta ask if anybody's opposed, right? Do we already?
You already did that.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay. Anybody in favor of making a motion?
I'll make a motion. I make a
Before we
motion.
make a motion, what do I have to do to be able to make this happen? What's my next step? Because clearly I got
You're not
some
gonna be
wrong
able to get a
information.
building that big.
Period.
Not in
Period.
that- Like, not on that lot.
Well, I just want to put on the record that I was deceived by the secretary at the front that said that there was an option for this to happen.
Is it
Well,
not?
there is an option that we're considering, and we're,
No, you haven't considered it. It was a no before we even started from him. And he said it under his breath for everybody to hear with no discussion.
That's
You didn't
right.
hear what happened.
That's right, I said it's too big.
It
But you
is.
didn't even open it for discussion.
We just discussed it.
Now you did, but before you guys
We're
even
discussing
started.
it.
before you guys even brought this up, it was already a no just from looking at
It's
it.
the
without
reason
a
we get
discussion.
these things ahead of time, so we can make our decision as to what we're gonna
The
do.
lady stated to me that it was, you guys can look over it and then we can have a discussion about it, not a direct no at that time. I just wish the board would realize about how much property I have there. I mean, I've got 2 lots there, and I can't use the other one because it's not a principal use. And I'm so close to having the 5 acres that would help me get across this. You know, it's not visible from the road when it's summertime. There's plenty of cover on this. The only people that see it are the ones that are looking down on me, and I've got 2 of my neighbors here that are on board for it. I just, you know, I wish there was a more of an open conversation instead of just, no, it's too big. I understand it's big, but I got a kid that's trying to work out year-round, and I don't have anywhere to go and do that. And I have the size of a lot that could accommodate it, and it wouldn't be visible but other than by my 2 neighbors that are here that are approving, that are on board for it. There wouldn't be any other trees cut down between the woods. You could see it from pulling out of Babson Park. I brought in the pictures that show you what the current would look like right now today, what it looks like. And it gives, you know, plenty of cover. There wouldn't be any draining issues with it. It would all be, you know, the same way it is. It's not undisturbing any of that drainage. It's not cutting down any trees from any other neighboring properties. The only thing they would remove would be limbs that were hanging over in the way and honeysuckle that just needs to be taken care of. There would be some excavation to level that out, but it would be right next to my house, connected to it if need be.
I can understand where you're coming from. I will tell you, like, I don't see these guys until we get here to the meeting once a month.
Well, I know, but I mean, I
But
was just told there would be discussion and
When I
and it
got
was
this
already shut
packet,
down.
I was very surprised to see that this was even brought before the board because of the square footage of the building.
Like I said, the lady-
That's just my opinion.
Like I said, the lady that, I got misinformation from the lady at the zoning desk, and I feel deceived that there, you know, that they would even allow that to happen and then not get a phone call from any board member on top of that to say, hey, you know, let me get a chance to make this happen.
Well, we're not permitted to give you any calls.
We're not.
You guys talked to the guy earlier that was in here before, previously to that. You said it, it's on record, it happened.
We didn't,
We stopped
we
out
did
of
not
the
talk to
property.
him before.
Like, I drove out to the properties today.
Okay. All right.
So did I.
Scott
I
talked to
did.
the guy at his house when he went over to look at it.
At his house.
You said that you talked to him 2 weeks ago about it, but that's nor here nor there. That's not our
That was
case.
Tom had called.
I said that I talked to the zoning office 2 weeks ago about
Okay.
his incomplete application. That's what I said,
Okay.
not him.
I misunderstood that then. I apologize.
You ready?
Yep. Okay, so,
Make your motion.
I make a motion that we deny the applicant's request for a variance in case 2-22-A, requesting relief to section 711-2, 711-4, and 711-6 of the Union Township zoning resolution, as to allow for the construction of an accessory building that would increase the size from 750 square feet to 2,100 square feet and increase the height from 14 feet to 17.75 feet in the designated front yard based on the evidence, testimony, and finding of facts.
okay, then what do I
Is there a second?
do? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call, Mr. Jang,
Aye.
Ms. Walker,
Aye.
Ms. Hanran,
Aye.
and Ms. Candro.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you for your time.
Is there any other business?
Is there any other business for the, before the board?
I have none.
Okay, then,
Motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.
Adjourned. Sorry.
At 7:36.